Big Ten football fans, rejoice. This is a Tuesday. That means Corey, Brad, and myself get together to talk Big Ten football with you. Leave your comments and questions there in the chat. Let's get right to it because we apologize. We went a little lengthy on the Iowa Hawkeyes show, which you should check out. So as soon as we get done here, check out Hawkeyes Live over on the Iowa channel. Corey, good to see you again.
Yeah, we're back. And we're, a day away from, well, I think in some cases a couple of days away from the official start of fall camp, but teams are reporting this week and across the country. So it's an exciting time. And we just got done talking with Matt Zimick about USC. I know we got Daniel House in here to talk about Minnesota today. And a lot of intriguing teams in this conference. As we got through media days last week, I kind of walked away from that thinking just that, like there's just some of the quarterback changes. Obviously, every year you're going to have an influx of transfer portal ads, within the conference, from outside the conference, etc. So a lot of intriguing programs this year.
All right, folks. I believe Corey's got about 15 or 20 minutes with us. We've got Daniel House, as he just mentioned. I'll take your calls after that, but let's go right to the board. And we've got Daniel House coming in from Gophers Guru. Daniel, good to see you.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to see you. I mean, I guess we're almost ready for college football now. We're talking ball again.
Minnesota reporting for camp tomorrow or Thursday officially?
Minnesota reported on Sunday.
Well, they reported. Okay, I'm sorry. First practice. When was first practice?
First practice was yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so they started a little bit earlier than some of the programs, but I know everybody has a different schedule. Everybody's mapped out, because I think it's because Minnesota plays on a Thursday, their first game. So that changes the scheduling.
Who do they play on Thursday?
Buffalo, first game. So
Buffalo.
Top 3 team in the MAC. I mean, solid squad.
That's a good. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about how Iowa never plays the best teams in the MAC. They just don't. And it's sort of annoying, Mark. It's just like, I don't know. It just, now they have played Miami, Ohio a couple of times, and they're a better program now than they were then. But you don't see them scheduling Toledo. You don't even see them scheduling Buffalo. They'll schedule the directional Michigan schools. But that's about
you get Central Michigan.
Yeah, they've gotten Western a couple of times. They even had Eastern on the schedule, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Buffalo was a 9-win football team last year, and of course, even in a 9-win season, PJ Fleck and company got tripped up by Bowling Green. Speaking of the MAC, just a few years ago.
And you always have to be ready that first game. I mean, it's a lot of unknown, and they got a brand new quarterback, Taquan Roberson, who's been a journeyman through Penn State to Kansas State to now at Buffalo.
UConn.
UConn in there. Yeah, you're right.
Yes. What's funny about that is you brought up Bowling Green, Mark. That team almost tripped up Penn State a year ago. That's another team Iowa doesn't play. So Iowa almost lost to Ball. I was at that game. Ball State 2013. You remember that game, Mark? Iowa nearly lost to Ball State. They needed like a second half comeback. So it does happen. There's better. Is this part of the MACtion? Are they playing in Buffalo? They're not playing in Buffalo.
No, it's at Minnesota. They gotta play on Thursday because of the state fair every year. So
state fair. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you remove the likes of Northwestern, Illinois, maybe Rutgers out of the Big Ten, the rest of the Big Ten is pretty much skated right through the MAC. But it's been a few underlings there. Purdue as well. They've had their trip ups against. I mentioned Northwestern. I bet they would have the most losses against the MAC. Even in seasons they've won the Big Ten Western Division, they've lost to the likes of Akron. But Daniel, we'll get started with this Minnesota team that PJ Fleck commented on last week at Big Ten Media Days. And one of the headline statements was basically, it's not a pipe dream for us to get to the playoffs now. They're coming off a season where they lost 5 games, Iowa being the only team that really handled them. Otherwise, a string of close losses. And he feels good about what they've built and how they move into 2025.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting a big point of emphasis on the one-score games, and we all know how close the Big Ten is. All the matchups you play, there's always a chance it's likely going to be a one-score game. So Minnesota's trying to flip how they approach situational football, 4-minute, 2-minute, middle eight, trying to just improve the ability to execute the finer details. And they feel like that can help them win a couple extra games each year. But I think this year is fascinating just because there's a lot of change, brand new quarterback, some transitions in the depth pieces along the defense. Ja Joyner's gone, Danny Stragow up front along the defensive line. Cody Lindenberg is in the NFL with the Raiders. Justin Wally's was picked in the 3rd round by the Colts. So they definitely lost some productive players, veteran guys that have been in the program for a while on defense and on the offensive line, trying to figure out what the combination looks like. They got 2 guys coming back that played meaningful football last year, but they're moving to different positions, and then they'll have a couple of transfers working in. So I think there are some variables that Minnesota has to figure out entering the season here.
What do they look like in skill position spots? I always intrigued by Minnesota. It seems like they always have skill position players out the wazoo, whether you're talking tailback or receiver.
Yeah, Darius Taylor's back as the headlining running back. His physicality, he's improved his vision and, ability to work in his own scheme. And I think, as a receiver last year, you saw what he could do. He was 3rd in the conference in receiving yards among running backs last year. So he added that element to Minnesota's offense, just a receiving back. They added A.J. Turner, a transfer out of Marshall, more of a twitchy type of back that has 2nd, 3rd level acceleration in the zone scheme, was a little bit productive there. So he'll be the complementary, option to Darius, along with Cam Davis, who was at Washington, more of a physical between the tackles type of runner, had a lot of goal line touches and touchdowns in 2022 at Washington. And then, you look at the wide receiver room, 2 transfers, Javon Tracy, wide receiver at Miami of Ohio, performed well in the YAC category, more of a vertical stretch type of guy that can, win at all 3 levels, gives them a dimension to, work in space and break tackles. He's one of the better tackle breaking wide receivers in the Big Ten or in the MAC last year. And then Logan Loya, UCLA. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be maybe their top wideout overall. Crafty kind of slot wideout, was more productive the previous year, but then they changed offensive schemes. And I think that kind of impacted him a little bit, but I like his route running. I think he's going to be a guy that emerges this year.
Javon Tracy is Tyrone Tracy's brother, Mark. So
yes,
transferred to Purdue, played at Iowa, of course. Now is carving out a nice running back career in the NFL, at least early on. So been one of the more surprising departures turned to a different position. So Mark, you got something for?
Well, Max Brosmer carved out a fine season coming in from the FCS in New Hampshire last year as the starting quarterback and got better as the season went on. I believe Drake Lindsay followed him in away from New Hampshire. Now he's been on campus at Minnesota longer leading into this, so he's been acclimated to the program. Comparisons to be made there, Daniel, between what Max Brosmer, and again, it was a solid success story for his transition to the Big Ten. But your thoughts about Drake Lindsay?
Yeah, I mean, Brosmer last year, you look at how he played, I feel like he was worth about 3 wins for them last year. Just all the late game stuff that he was able to execute and the stuff at the line of scrimmage, being able to check into certain looks. He had a lot of responsibility at the line of scrimmage and what Minnesota was doing offensively. So, I mean, it's a big transition moving from someone like Max, who is very smart, very poised, puts in the work, preparation, all the things that you're looking for in a quarterback. And he had that experience at the FCS level. He saw a lot of stuff, worked against a lot of different looks. So Drake Lindsay comes in here as, a 4-year recruit out of Arkansas and gets a year with Max just to spend time with him, learn how he approached the game, just soak in all the information and learn Minnesota systems. So now here you go. Start playing, get experience in games. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be moments where you see the flashes, but I think one of the core strengths of his game is anticipation. He's very good at throwing receivers open out of breaks and, a lot of different route types. You got to see him throw, in some of the sessions that we were at. He was really, really anticipating well. And I know that the coaching staff is, excited about the talent he provides. So I guess we'll kind of see how it shakes out, because it's definitely a transition. Playing quarterback in the Big Ten, it's hard to simulate it until you see how guys perform.
If I may, Corey, real quick, I have long since been known for being afraid to post comments. I'm a guy that's here every day taking calls. You can call me anytime.
What comment
post comments?
What comment is this in regards to? What?
Because people are making comments about Ohio State and Michigan. I'm not going to post them during, first of all, some of them are completely asinine. Secondly, we're talking about Minnesota. So I'm not posting your comments.
Well,
contribute some money and I will post your comment and read your comment, you moron.
There you go.
All in,
John.
One or the other. All right. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to bring up, excuse me, the makeup of the schedule is really, I think, balanced. It's a pretty good, I think, in my opinion, a really good schedule for this Minnesota team. You know the team better than I do, Daniel. The trip to Cal is, I don't know why. I don't know when that was scheduled, but I don't know why you play that game. I don't know what the point of scheduling a home and home with a Cal is. You tell me, but I know it would never happen with Kirk. It wouldn't happen with Kirk prior to conference realignment, unless PJ's perspective on this is we got to go out to the West Coast anyways every year, so let's just add another one to the schedule. I don't know why you'd want to play a game against Cal in September on the road, home and home, I'm assuming. But I was just going to say the makeup of the schedule is very balanced, because you don't play Michigan, you don't play Penn State, and the best teams they do play, they are on the road. Ohio State, Oregon, both on the road. But you play Ohio State in early October, you play Iowa in late October, you play Oregon in mid-November, and then you finish off with the rivalry game against Wisconsin at home. So, if I know you brought up the playoff at the beginning, if this team is halfway decent, you're going to have a chance to get to 9 wins, even if you lose to the 3 best teams, which are probably Ohio State, Oregon, and Iowa.
Yeah, and I mean, scheduling is just one of those things where it's scheduled so far in advance that, like, even the current coaching staff doesn't have a lot of control over, like, what the scheduling looks.
PJ Fleck didn't have control over Cal?
That was scheduled long before him, I think. I think that was a scheduled matchup before.
How long has PJ been in Minnesota? Sure. Wait a minute. How long has PJ been in Minnesota, Mark? He's your
2017, right?
He's your boy. 2017. You're telling me that game was scheduled almost a decade ago?
I think it was scheduled just before he came, maybe. It was really, really close. I'm not sure, though.
That's incredible.
It could be that he just got there, but it was close.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I look at the schedule, West Coast trips, Minnesota's done them before. They went to Fresno State, played. So they kind of have some experience in how to handle those type of games. But it is a lot of unknown, like you say. Cal had some late transfer portal losses, especially in that, running back room. Ott going to Oklahoma and Jack Endry's going to Texas, the tight end. Mendoza earlier in the transfer portal cycle going to Indiana. So they do have a lot of turnover, but they added some productive players. I like their defensive line. I think they should be pretty good up there. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough, non-conference game going out west. And, dealing with the travel and a different start time. But, I think there's some intriguing games on the schedule, just in the sense that, like, Rutgers, what do they look like? I think they added a lot of productive transfers on defense. How does that all gel together? I think that game, Kirk Shiraka knows PJ Fleck very, very well. That Shiano is going to play a ball control, run the ball, and, play good defense type of style. It's always going to be kind of a close game when you play Rutgers. I think Nebraska is an interesting matchup. You got a short week coming off a night game. I'm curious to see how everything comes together there, because they have 3 new coordinators and they lost a lot of pass rushing juice, but I think their wide receiver room's better. Iowa on the road, tough game to play in at Kinnick. Michigan State. I think Michigan State is interesting. I thought they made some nice offseason moves. Obviously, the season with Aiden Childs is going to be kind of dictated by how he performs. But I like what they did in the wide receiver room. I think defensively they added some productive players at key spots if their pass rush is better. I think that they could be a little bit better than people are anticipating. So I think Rutgers and Michigan State are 2 games that they're not going to be as easy as people are anticipating. And like you say, the 2 road games at Oregon and Ohio State, and you got the Wrigley game with Northwestern and then Wisconsin. There are some favorable matchups, but yet again, I think people are kind of discounting Rutgers and Michigan State at this point. I don't think those are as easy of games as people are projecting them to be.
But we can agree it's a favorable schedule. Is that fair?
I think the flow of it is good. I like where the buys are too. I think the buys are in a little bit better spot. Minnesota had like 2 buys right near the end of the season last year, and that was hard just because of the health piece. You wanted to try to rehab guys and give them an extra week, and they were kind of stacked up close together. So, to have them laid out the schedule where they are, I think that's helpful. But it's going to be interesting to see how this team comes together, especially early in the season, because they got a lot of change on the O-line. They got a brand new quarterback. They got some new pieces on defense. They got a defensive coordinator that's been with the program, but it's going to be his first time calling the defense. He did call a bowl game, but this is his stamp on the defense. He's going to be calling it full time. So I guess I'm curious to see how Minnesota plays early in the season, and if it takes some time for them to, gel and figure things out. But they do have a schedule that allows them to kind of figure stuff out.
Yeah, they don't play the best team in the conference, or who we perceive to be the best team in the conference in Penn State. You don't play one of probably the 5 best teams in the conference, maybe one of the 3 best in Michigan, and you don't play Illinois, who's, I think, one of the 5 best teams in the conference as well. But like you said, I think the flow of the schedule is good. The bye week's set up nicely. You get a long week of prep heading into that Iowa game. That's an extra Friday game. I don't know. How many Friday games are there typically on a Big Ten schedule, Daniel? You probably know this. Iowa's a little different because they play the Black Friday game every year, plus another one.
Well, sometimes teams get 2. I mean, I look at last year, Michigan State had 2. They had to play Oregon and Purdue on a Friday night in their schedule. So I think it's usually, if Minnesota didn't get a Friday one last year. So I guess it kind of varies on how they distribute it. I think some teams get them and they get multiple ones. I guess I'm kind of curious. That is a great question about how they handle that and distribute it.
So last year was the first Fox formation of these Friday night games with the Big Ten, but they also worked in the Big 12, and I think the ratio was like 12-3. It was almost all Big Ten, but they did a few with the Big 12. Now, Ohio State didn't have one. Michigan didn't have one. Oregon had one against Michigan State on a Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a couple teams that had 2, but mostly it was spread around with one game. Rutgers had 2. They went out to USC, and they also hosted Washington on a Friday night.
What a great week talk about scheduling makeup, Daniel, but what a great time to go to Autzen. If there's ever a time to go to Autzen on a Friday night, do it after a bye week. Do it after a bye. Because that's
I mean, you got to buy. That's huge for like just prep and rest and
going to play. I mean, the one thing, big things Mark and I just got done talking about having to play late at night on the West Coast. We talked about that over on the Iowa channel. If I'm looking at the schedule correctly, that's twice this year that Minnesota has to cross multiple time zones and play a late game, a 10 or later Central Time game.
The beauty is they got a bye coming off of the first one too. They're playing Cal out there, and then they got a bye the next week.
But it still doesn't change the fact that you got to play it late that week.
I understand, but I'm just saying, like, for that to just acclimate back, you travel back, and then you can kind of reset going into the Big Ten season.
Well, I think Iowa people are a little bit gun shy after what happened last year when Iowa went to UCLA. Short week on a Friday late at night and got their pants pulled down. So I think I didn't look at the data. I know everybody was oohing and eyeing over the time zone data last year in the Big Ten and how unsuccessful teams were in crossing the time zones. I think that evened out a little bit as the season went on. You're more of an analytics guy than I am, Daniel, as are you, Mark, but that will be an intriguing aspect of this, just those late starts.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have short weeks too, where you're trying to travel. You're playing a game and then you got to cross time zones on a short week. I mean, it's a little bit of a disadvantage. I think like Michigan State experienced that last year. Their schedule was like brutal on how it was laid out, and they had a whole bunch of night games, and so there's definitely like the schedule flow now. I feel like they probably made some adjustments after the first season with the West Coast teams in there.
Yeah, Jonathan Smith got hit with being, obviously a first-year head coach at Michigan State, and his first 2 conference games were Ohio State and then going out to Oregon on a Friday night. So, my goodness, that's a tough way to go to start the schedule. Question for you, Daniel, would be big picture. On one hand, with the Indianas and Illinois of the world, Illinois coming close to a playoff appearance, and a lot of people like them as a dark horse. And obviously, Indiana pulled it off last year, something we wouldn't have fathomed. That on the good side of that, it gives fan bases hope. On the flip side, if you're not able to get that done for a series of years, let's say we're sitting here 5 years from now, and PJ Fleck's at Minnesota churning out 8-5 seasons, and his fan base is saying, well, Indiana was able to make the playoffs, and by then maybe Washington made the playoffs, or Illinois made the playoffs, or somebody else like that, Iowa, that there can come the criticism of, hey, it's fathomable now, and as PJ Fleck said last week, it's no longer a pipe dream, so you have to possibly push through at some point.
Well, and if the playoff expands to 16, that changes the ball game too, because it's like, you're treating it like all these Big Ten and SEC teams, they have a viable path, to make it to the college football playoff. And you look at the idea that, like, Minnesota in 2019, they played extremely well. They probably would have been in the mix there. But that's the thing, like, moving forward now, how does the expectation level change with, revenue sharing? You're paying players, you've got an expanded playoff. Like, people might be a little bit more, they want to be in the mix, at least once in a while, because, this is a tough league to play in. I mean, there's great teams. I think the parity of the conference is better than it's ever been because of the way the talent's distributed out, your ability to go get guys in the portal and, find productive players to fill in the gaps. That's what I think that's why I think Indiana put themselves in that position last year, because they had a very good sense of where to put their resources, getting productive players at key spots to pair up with their returning production. And that's why they were able to get it done. So much of this is about staying healthy, putting together the right team, and having the right mix of guys at the key spots that you need to be successful. Like, what constitutes a balanced team? I think that's what the challenge is moving forward, as all these teams try to figure out how to structure their football programs. The expectation level definitely changes, especially when you got, like, people donating money and they're contributing money. They're going to want to, see a return on investment eventually. I think you're right. Like, maybe the expectation level just nationally and how people perceive Big Ten and SEC football programs is going to change for those, like, middle tier programs.
All right, Daniel, appreciate you being here. Corey, anything else? I know that both of you guys need to head out.
No, I'm always intrigued by the Gophers, as I said at the outset, and I was trying to do a little bit of what Minnesota did last year, grabbing a successful FCS quarterback and transitioning to Big Ten life. So, we'll see if there's any parallels there.
Well, yeah, and Tim Lester with the second year here, everybody was riled up, but it's like the second year of that language. It's just a complex type of system that they're putting in, and with a year of experience underneath it, I mean, I think that's going to help a little bit too, with the idea that you got a FCS quarterback like, Max Brosmer did last year, come in and pick it up and maybe translate quite well. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how he does too.
Daniel, how many this is a trivia question for you. How many teams in the FBS are currently running the Shanahan offense?
I mean, I would say there's at least a handful. I mean,
so we had Tyler Kluver on, former Iowa long snapper, and what he says, this again, I haven't verified this, but what he says is there are no other teams in college football running the Shanahan offense.
Minnesota is running a variation of it. So Minnesota, Iowa.
There's concepts in there, right? There are going to be concepts that,
and that's the hard part. Like, what constitutes a full blown, Shanahan system? Like, all of it melds together. But I would say when you mention it as peer, I mean, there's not a lot of, like, totally pure because the language is so complex to it. There's so many different things that you got to learn, and you got with all the turnover in, college sports, like it can be tough to have guys pick it up quickly. So I think that's the challenge now is like, how complex do you want your offense to be with the degree of turnover that you got? I mean, everybody's got a little wide zone element in their offense. A lot of teams do, but to be pure Shanahan, I think that's a little bit different.
Gophers Guru is the place to be to track Daniel's work. Anything there you want to highlight, Daniel?
Just the non-conference previews. Their in-depth looks at everybody Minnesota is going to play, and then also features on the website. Got a ton of features with players right now from the internal media days. So check out the content. $5 a month gets you access to the premium content.
Good to see you, Daniel.
Hey, great to see you guys.
Have a good week.
See ya.
All right, Corey, I know you need to take off, but again, everybody, Wednesday night, 8 Central, 9 Eastern on from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Corey, Coach Don Patterson, everything you would want concerning Iowa football leading into training camp. So great show to get you set for August camp.
And it looks like you got Michael ready to call in, and you got George, and I thought George was holding a beer a second ago, a big bad beer. So
yeah.
You're going to have that. So
it looks like we're going to be putting a 30-second limit on calls.
30 seconds. All right. Hey, yes. Tune back in, everybody. Even if you're not an Iowa fan, Coach Patterson, he'll answer any questions, and he is going to be working again with Iowa on Big Ten analytics this season. So he's a great person to pick the brain of if you're a Big Ten fan. So I will see you next Tuesday, Mark, in the middle of fall camp.
Excellent. All right, Corey, have a good week.
Thanks, Mark.
And again, everybody back here on next Tuesday, 6 Eastern. Let's get to the lines. We got Michael checking in. Michael, how you doing?
Good, Mark. Yourself?
I am doing just fine.
Corey's lucky he took off because I was going to lame base him again. I was going to lame base him, but I wait till next week.
Lame based him for what?
Just because he was starting to talk smack. I got a feeling about Purdue. Speaking of Purdue, I was looking at their see if you've looked at their schedule yet. Maybe we can go over the schedule quickly.
Okay. I'm guessing that if they are not playing any high school teams, that we're just going to be adding up like 11 losses.
Well, I was looking at it was kind of weird how they got their schedule set up was the conference schedule.
Okay.
But I'll wait till you get it pulled up there.
All right. Boiler up. Let's see. Ball State and Southern Illinois get us started.
Yeah.
On a couple Saturday games.
And then their first loss of the season is when they go up to South Bend.
Their first loss of the season is going to be when?
Oh, I thought it was Notre Dame and USC. But it's the other way around.
Well, maybe they can pull a stunner against the Trojans at home.
Yeah, sure. But I was thinking their first. No, I was thinking Notre Dame was going to play the week before, but I see it's USC. Anyway, okay, I can maybe see 2 losses. But how crazy is it though that if you look at the middle portion of their first 4 games of the conference schedule compared to their last 4 games?
Yeah.
Can they go 2-? All right, the way the schedule I'm looking at it, is it possible they can go 2-2 in each of the 4 game segments?
All right. So we've got USC, Illinois. Oh, you're talking about the entire schedule.
Yes.
I was just looking at the Big Ten games. Okay. So obviously, yes, for the first 4 because they got Ball State and Southern Illinois. Let's go to the next 4. Illinois at Ross-Ade, at Minnesota, at Northwestern, and Rutgers. Yes, that's conceivable. Most likely it's going to be the Northwestern and Rutgers games, but shoot, they took Illinois to an overtime game, as you well know, last year. So
yeah,
there are going to be upsets. It sounds ridiculous to think about Purdue beating Illinois right now, but there are going to be double-digit upsets every week in college football. So yes, that's conceivable too. And then the final 4, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, Indiana. I don't see a 2-2 there.
Do you see an 0-4 or maybe a 1-3?
Well, I see 0-4.
Okay.
And so that would leave us at 4-8.
Yeah, but I know Ohio State's going to be loaded for Barry again this year, but you said upsets happen. Look what happens sometimes in Ross State with Ohio State in the past. I mean, I don't see it happening, but like I said, you never know. But I was thinking 4-8 myself.
Those Ohio State teams were playing capable Purdue teams. You know, the 2018 team was a 6-win team that went to a bowl game. What was the upset before that? 2011? Was that the one before that?
I think so. Yeah, that was the bowl.
Yeah, and that was a bad Ohio State team by Ohio State standards, 6-6.
Was the 2009 win the Ross State against Ohio State? Was Ohio State a decent team that year, or is that kind of?
They won the Big Ten championship in the Rose Bowl. They finished number 4 in the country.
Okay.
Yes,
I wasn't sure because I think Purdue finished
pretty good.
I don't think Purdue was good in 2009, but I
don't think they were either.
That was the first year of Danny Hope, so
I'm going to guess that they were like 5-7 that year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it a look, but yeah, it's possible.
But are you like me? But are you like me and saying Purdue will end up most likely 4-8 this year?
No, I'm going to go 3-9.
Okay, so you don't think they'll? So you think they'll go winless in the conference this year again? Or no? Well, that won't work because they'll win at least one conference game.
Yes, one conference win.
Who do you think that could be against though?
Oh, I think they could beat Northwestern. They can beat Rutgers at home. One of those two would be my first guess. I'm not looking at the schedule right this second, but those are the first two that would come to mind.
Okay. So how long do you think it'll take Odom, Barry to clean it up, or do you think Waters' trash is so bad it's going to take eons to get Purdue back to where they're somewhat respectable in football?
Well, it doesn't have to take eons in the era of the transfer portal. And Barry Odom did a fine job at UNLV, as you well know. Not such a great job at Missouri. Decent. He wasn't awful. Mm-hmm. They had a couple bowl appearances. I believe he finished like within one game of 500 there. So Purdue just really lost a great thing when they lost Jeff Brom. But anyway, that's ancient history. Yeah, I think that it would be reasonable if Purdue improved by a game or let's say 2 games this year and went 3-9, and then they got to a bowl game the next year, either won 5 or 6 games. And then when you ask me what's it going to take to get them back, it depends on what you mean back. Do you mean like going 8-4, something like that? Yeah, I think they can do that 3 years from now.
All right. Now the key question I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I know it's gonna be a thing, but the main thing that I want to see, because I know there's going to be some blowouts this year. I hope they're more competitive than they were last year. That's the one thing I want to see this year. Even though it's going to be a rough season for them, I just wish it was more competitive.
Yes. You don't want 66-7 and whatever the Notre Dame score was, 66-0, whatever they were.
Yeah, it was 60-7, and then IU was 66-0, but. Anyway,
and they played Illinois to the wire, and they played another decent game against
Nebraska. That was a came down. That was a close game into the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And then I'm trying to think. Also, I can't remember a couple other stuff off the top of my head. But anyway, speaking of Barry Odom's old place, UNLV or Boise State, which team from the Mountain West goes to the playoff this year?
Well, I can't say I've really looked into that, but I tend to still like Boise State with what Spencer Danielson's doing there. He's done an exceptional job, and it could be, even though Dan Mullen's got a soft landing spot in terms of being handed a really strong program, I would still tend to like Boise State. Now, I'd have to look at the schedules to see if anybody's getting a favorable run in conference based on who they're missing. And Boise State, we'll have to see where that game's going to be played against UNLV. Let's see, UNLV plays at Boise State, so there's a bit of an advantage there for Boise State to win the head-to-head.
Yeah, someone was asking in the chat, wasn't that like a 40-point favorite when Purdue went to Columbus last year? Weren't they favored by at least 35 or something?
When Purdue went to Columbus last year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was something crazy, 35.
No, man. Nope. Just one last thing before I let you go, because I know you're going to have fun with George. What happened with the quarterback that was at UNLV transferred? Did he go back or whatever happened with that?
No, he did not go back. I'm trying to remember where he did land. I'll look that up. It was like the Sun Belt Conference or Conference USA. Oh, does anybody remember that kid's name? UNLV quarterback transferred early. Yeah, he was like the first of his. Oh, yeah, Matthew Saluka. I forgot his name, but there it is. So he transferred to James Madison.
Oh, and I think there was some school you was just talking about the other day that James Madison playing it early in the non-conference. That could give a team a run for money or something.
Yes, that was somebody in the Big Ten.
Was it Rutgers?
I don't remember. It might have been. No, we just looked at Rutgers' schedule. It was. Oh no, I think it was Virginia or Georgia Tech. Somebody like that. Know. All right, Michael.
All right, partner. Enjoy the rest of the show. And same time tomorrow, 4:00.
No, I am taking Wednesday and Thursday off.
Okay. Then I guess I will be talking to you next week then, because I got some baseball this weekend.
Very good. Thanks,
all right,
Michael.
Take care. Thanks, Mark.
All right. Guess we will finish off with our buddy George. George, what's going on? It's George here.
Mark.
What's he doing? What's going on, George?
I was going to ask you if I could have a minute, but hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Hold on a second. You caught me by surprise.
I hear you.
Okay, I can see you now. I can see you now. Mark, my apartment complex is threatening me with eviction after 9 years.
So what happened?
And how does that relate to football? I got a lawyer.
Well,
so you ask, how does that relate to football? It relates to football because I need my freaking chair. You see my chair? I need my Gator chair and my TV. It's over there. See the TV? For football season. So I can't lose this one. I don't know if you're prayerful people, but if anybody wants to pray for me, go ahead. I better win.
We will, George. So if you care to share the details.
The cares and the worries and the troubles of the world, you know, don't let them drag you away from God.
Well, this is true. This is true.
Okay, so back to the Gators. Listen, I know this is a way too early prediction, but I predict Florida will win the next 2 or 3 national championships in football, depending on if DJ stays for the 3rd year.
Okay.
Fourth year.
He's going to have to try to navigate in a walking boot right now.
Oh, whatever. That's for TV. He's fine. He'll be fine. He's a big, healthy boy. He's got all the orthopedic specialists in the world at his disposal. He's giving money away, you know? He'll be fine.
Okay. I hope so. I want to see him at full strength.
I'm still on that beer fast, and it's working. I got to tell you.
Speaking of which, I want
11 years.
I want to break my fast as soon as possible.
11 years of.
I've eaten nothing today, but I had a bowl, a little small salad, and I've eaten probably about 6 or 8 chocolate chip cookies. That's what I've eaten today. So we're going to grab something.
Mark, I grew up in a world where there was actually something called a restaurateur, people that ran restaurants, and
Yes.
it was their pride and their joy to bring you the best of the best, you know? And that world doesn't exist anymore. But you could get it at any cafe, any place you went in the past. These people loved their life, these cooks and chefs and restaurateurs, mom and pop places, you know? The best 2 eggs, hash browns, and toast you ever tasted.
Well, yes.
Because they cared. They really cared.
Yes. Customer service. What I noticed was since COVID, I don't know what COVID did to us, but
I know.
Ever since COVID, you know, if you get some decent customer service, you're like, it's a big day.
I have not cut my hair since COVID. Look, this shit's halfway down my back, right? My whole life, I never had nothing but a lawyer haircut, a plain boy's haircut, you know? And when COVID hit, I went to get a haircut, and they said, we need your name, address. We got to stick our finger up your ass. And I said, no. I don't roll that way. I've never cut my hair again. I quit. I'll never, ever. I bought a thing where I can cut my own hair. I did it once, and I went, screw this shit. Who cares? I'm 65, you know? Who gives a shit about your haircut?
Mine's getting a little too long myself, but
I buy these now. I buy these hair ties now. You tie it back. It's cheaper than going to the barber, I'll tell you that. I ain't paying no one $20 for a freaking haircut in the first place. What's the chat talking about?
We've got all sorts
look,
of stuff.
He's fucking. I thought this guy was my friend, Sniper Husker. He just said I examined my own prostate. That is not true.
What are we talking about here, Pitt?
I thought he was my friend.
Let's back off.
Yeah, Husker, come on. I like Nebraska. I have a Nebraska statue. Yeah. Maybe I'll send him something.
Are you going to let us know how this all works out? When are we going to know something?
I just can't believe this, Mark. I just can't believe it. 9 years I've been here. Best spot in Portland. I don't know why, but they will not let a homeless person within a mile of me, you know? The neighborhood I live in, somebody special lives within 3 or 4 blocks of me because they don't last a day. It's the only neighborhood in Portland where there's no homeless people where I live. I can't lose. I have to win. I don't know what happened, man.
Well, seriously, anyone who does believe in the power of prayer, please be praying for George tonight. I will be.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I'm pretty sure I got it under control, but God still likes it when other people pray for you.
Yes. Yes. All right, George.
All right. I don't want to pick. I don't want to pick on nobody. I don't want to pick on Nebraska. I don't want to pick on Miami. I don't want to pick on Florida State. I don't want to pick on LSU. I don't want to pick on Alabama, Georgia. Nobody. It's almost the start of the greatest show on earth. The start of the college football season. Oh my God, I can't wait. Week 1. Oh my God, look at all the games. What are we gonna do? I'm gonna hyperventilate. Should we go?
We're
almost there. Hyperventilating.
We're almost there, George. All right, man. Well, be good. Right. Take care, and I'm gonna head.
Don't pray for me. Don't pray for me. Pray for my lawyer. Her name is Nicole. Say, dear God, please help Nicole to help George.
All right. Nicole, the lawyer, give her wisdom, give her all sorts of
wisdom and guidance and bad attitude, whatever.
All right.
I love you guys.
Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate that you did.
I love you more.
We love you too, George. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to hang up first. I know this is always a difficult time. So hold on. Let me see.
All right, everyone. Yes, off on Wednesday and Thursday. Next show will be on Friday at 4 Eastern. Actually, we've moved the Buckeye show from Wednesday to Friday. So you'll see me on the Ohio State show with the gang. That'll be Friday at, I believe, 3 Eastern. So, and then we're thinking about moving this whole operation to 10 at night, giving that a thought. So if we get enough people to show up, we'll see if we just go full throttle 10 Eastern throughout the week, and that converts to post game for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Check out the lineup here at the Voice of College Football. I post it every day. So even though I'm gone Wednesday and Thursday, we got a plethora of shows all over the place again on Wednesday and on Thursday. We'll see you soon.